Hey, beautiful people. Happy Monday. It's time for a recap of what went down on a last night's episode of The Real Housewives of Potomac. First of all, I do want to know how you would rate the episode on a scale from 1 to 10. I forgot to ask you for the debut, but let's go ahead and ask you now. When it came to the debut episode, since I forgot, I gotta say I would rate it an 8 or a 9. I really liked the kind of positive spin that the episode took. There was just the right amount of shade, no cruelty, and it seemed as though, head mean girl Gizelle was ready to turn over a new leaf. So for that, I would give it a rather high rating. Now, when it comes to last night's episode, number 2, it did feel kind of like a filler episode. I do have to be honest with you guys. So for that, I'm going to give it something like a 5, a 4 or a 5. Mainly a 4, because I do feel like it's a little bit early in the season for us to be having what feels like a filler episode. So I gotta say I'm a little bit concerned moving forward, although I really do hope that I'm wrong. Now let's get into what exactly went down. Okay, you guys, we picked back up with Mia crying in the bathroom because Karen and Gizelle called her out for not protecting her children from the scrutiny of the show. Listen, I think I understand why Mia's crying, but at the same time, I feel like she needs to listen to what it is that the other girls are telling her, because in my opinion, they're right. Like, she is running a paternity storyline on the show, and that is harmful to her son, Jeremiah. There is absolutely no reason that G, and that new boyfriend, the DJ boyfriend of hers, they should have waited this long to figure out the paternity of that child. If they do have any genuine concerns about his paternity, it would be best to handle that in the off season of the show, rather than wasting away all those months and only coming back now that the cameras are back up and talking about it. That is not something that is beneficial to her son. Putting that on the show is not protecting her son. And I do think that she needs to listen to the criticisms, because they are 1000% right. Now, while Mia's in the bathroom crying, Gizelle asks Wendy, after giving her a bucket hat. Everyone else got like a nice, beautiful suede hat with like a red trim. And then she got Wendy some sort of like a leather black bucket hat, because that's where their relationship was, like in the bucket. And she goes, okay, well, why don't we get our relationship out of the bucket? Like, can we meet up and just discuss where we're at? And Wendy, of course, accepts. Listen, nobody wants to lose their job right now, especially not in this economy. So Giselle's playing nice, Wendy's playing nice, everybody is playing nice. And it's what I as a viewer like to see. So I'm happy that like they all got kind of shaken up about the last season, especially with Robin getting kicked off the show. Now, Mia finally comes back to the table, and Gizelle apologizes, and so does Karen, for the comments they made about her not protecting her children. And then we switch over to the next day, where Wendy goes ahead and she meets up with Gizelle for their one-on-one. They have like a lunch at this really nice, airy, light, beautiful place. Wendy looked absolutely stunning. The makeup, the outfit, everything. She looked the F good. So they're eating oysters, and she's criticizing the way that Gizelle eats oysters. And Gizelle was kind of irritated by that, which I get, because, listen, we're not on that level yet. My friends can make fun of me in the way that I ate things, but like you, not yet, right? And so at that point, they kind of both decide, hey, listen, we do have to move forward. But I got to admit, the energy was off. Like, it was kind of weird energy. But before they even agree to move forward, Gizelle says, okay, well, I'm going to talk, and I would like for you to listen to what I'm saying, okay? And then I will do the same to you. And so Wendy agrees to the terms, and Gizelle, like right off the bat, she acts like Wendy's this big bad wolf. She's like, you're so mean, you're this, you're that. Like, when you're angry, it's like this. It's like, okay, Gizelle, and I'm so happy that Wendy described it this way, but she's like, you do not have the right to police the way that I come at you, or like respond to the attacks that you level at me and my family. And I think she's 1000% right. Anybody would have reacted the way that Wendy did if Gizelle came at them in a fashion about their families, about their husband or whatever, especially knowing that this is Giselle's MO. Every single year, she picks a new family, a new husband to target. And Wendy was just sick of it at this point. And she called Gizelle out on her ugly spirit. And she was 1000% right. The status of Giselle's life right now is her karma for the ugly, ugly, ugly spirit that she harbors, the evil eye that she, impresses upon other people's lives. All of that is coming back to her in the state of her sad, miserable love life. She's the only one on the show that needs to have these fake relationships for the show. She's the only one on the show that has a new man behind her or no man behind her. And listen, that's not even like a diss, whatever, have no man or whatever. Who cares? I actually think it's a flex, to be honest with you, more often than not. But like, if she were happy with that, it would be one thing, but she's very obviously not happy with it. And that's why she's constantly attacking everybody else's relationship. You know what I mean? And that is the problem that people have. It's okay to be single. It's fabulous to be single. But, when you're attacking people's like romantic lives and stuff like that, and children are involved, it just goes to show how bitter you are about your situation. So I completely understood where Wendy was coming from. And Wendy also called Gizelle out on her tendency to alienate people. And that is exactly what got the show to where it is now, to where Gizelle got second seat at the reunion last season. Her henchmen got kicked off the show. And she kind of got warned, like, hey, you keep this up, you're out too. Like, the show can go on without you. Trust and believe, right? So, Gizelle says, okay, like typically though, in my defense, if I don't like you, I don't want to talk to you. But it's like, Wendy, you and Gizelle were getting along just fine before you decided out of the blue to attack her husband. But anyway, whatever. The two of them decide to have a truce and move forward in peace, which I'm really, really happy to see. And I hope that they, maintain that through the rest of the season. Or if they even beef, I hope that it's like an okay kind of like a feud, not like, wrath, not talking again sort of a deal. Now, let's flip over to Stacy, our new girl. She's got her daughter, Arabella. And just as a reminder, Stacy's Black. Her daughter, Arabella, is biracial because her father is a German man that Stacy met on an airplane before, right? And so at this point, we're learning that Arabella is a trilingual girly, which I think is awesome. She speaks English, she speaks German, and she is learning Spanish as well. And from what I saw in the scene, she's been doing a fantastic job of learning her Spanish. And it's just so amazing how many doors languages can open up for you. Like with English, you already conquered the whole world. You can go anywhere with English, right? But when you speak German, there's so many countries where you you fit into, you can integrate a lot easier than you could with just English, there's Germany, there's Switzerland, there's Luxembourg, there's so many places. And I believe there's more. Oh, Belgium, certain sides of Belgium as well. That's awesome. With Spanish, you've got Central, you've got South America, you've got Spain. There's just, it's a lot, so, good on her for raising her daughter with all of these languages. It's not easy, but it is 1000% worth it. Another thing that she let slip during her scene is that she and her husband are hiding their divorce from their daughter Arabella until everything is all said and done. So she is currently living with her estranged husband, but they're not home at the same time all the time together. So, she'll always be at work in DC, in the DC condo, when the husband is in the main house. And then, they switch it up that way, kind of a thing. And so their excuses really, really work because they are busy people with multi-city kind of schedule. So their daughter doesn't question it. Because I do imagine that there was a lot of that already throughout the marriage as well. So that's been working so far. But I do hope that they have told her by now, because with the episodes airing and everything, it would be really sad if their daughter were to find out about this, through friends at school or something like that, rather than through her own parents. So fingers crossed on that end. By the way, you guys, if you are enjoying this recap, please do make sure to give the video a thumbs up to let YouTube know that you enjoy, my RHOP recaps and my content in general, and you'll continue to see them in your newsfeed. Sometimes I get people saying, oh my God, Grace, your videos are not popping up on my algorithm anymore. Well, you got to engage with videos that you enjoy. So if you do enjoy it, make sure to go ahead and do that, please. Okay, you guys? Now, moving a little bit along, we've got Kiana, who I am obsessed with. I think she's just so cute. She's so bubbly, and she's just so damn pretty. And, I really like her sense of style as well. So she shows up at Karen's house. The two of them have been tied ever since Karen went with her to the hospital when she got attacked at the GNA event. And then she starts talking to us now that she's got a flute and everything. She's a main girl. early now. So she's got to open up about her own personal life. So now we're privy to information like she's been dating a guy named Greg. They've been going steady, they moved in together, and they're building a house together, but they're not married, which to me is weird. Listen, I support cohabitating before marriage because there's a lot that you discover, that might turn you off, from marrying somebody. I'm happy that I lived with my ex before, because I can't imagine like being stuck with someone who lived like that. He was a clean person and everything, but he was obsessed with video games. Like he would play 12 hours a day level, obsessed with video games. It was a real addiction. And so I was like, no. So I really truly believe in living together before marriage to know certain things. Because certain things can be hidden. People can lie, but you have to see for yourself, in my opinion. But when it comes to purchasing together or building together, I don't believe in doing that before marriage. So to me, it is weird that Kiana's doing all that with her man before marriage. And I'm glad that Karen tried to kind of nudge her about it. She said, listen, girl, you should not be doing all this without the ring. Where is the ring? Where's the ring? And Kiana talks about how other members of her family are asking the same thing. And I hope that she takes heed and puts her foot down and tells this man, but I think it's too late because she's already probably invested money with him in this. But for you girls watching this, let it be a cautionary tale. Do not move like this. This is not smart, in my humble opinion. Now, let's get into Kiana not being invited to the hat party that Gizelle threw for Karen. I completely forgot that she wasn't even there. I imagined that it was like a scheduling conflict or I wasn't even thinking of her as a housewife yet there. But they kind of talk about that. Karen's like, why weren't you there for my birthday? You weren't invited. And so Karen is like, oh my God, I didn't even yeah, it's true. I wasn't invited. And so obviously the culprit of this is Gizelle Lax Bryant, right? She was the one who organizes the birthday. She knows that Kiana and Karen are close. Yet she does not invite Karen's close friend Kiana to celebrate her birthday. Isn't that weird? Isn't that suspicious? Isn't that malicious? Well, of course it is, right? Because this is Gizelle's brainchild at it. And, to be honest, I did find it really strange too, because when the girls were on that vacation where Karen, I think, was not happy with her room. And then Kiana got sick. She got bubble guts or something like that. Gizelle went and checked on her and she was kind of flaunting that she was a better friend to Kiana in that moment than Wendy was. Even though Kiana was supposed to be Wendy's friend. I thought that they were building something, and so it's a shame to me that Kiana gets attacked at Gizelle and Ashley's party by a vicious, weird person who's obsessed with Candace, and Gizelle turns her back on her like she did anything wrong, right? And she starts trying to ice her out. That is very, very strange. Now, I'm really excited to watch this kind of be addressed later on. I want to see Kiana confront Gizelle to her face, and I feel like she's got it in her. So let's get back to Stacy, okay, you guys? Now she gets another scene. She really, I think of the newbies, the producers like her the best. So our newbies, in terms of housewives, are Kiana and Stacy, and then we've got Wendy's friend. I forgot her name, but she owns that boutique we saw in episode 1. We see Jacqueline, and I believe there's a third person as well. And I'm noticing that the producers really, really, truly love Stacy. So I think she's going to have a major storyline and a major moment soon. And we'll see why they're so into her. So she's already got yet another scene. She meets up with Ashley to go for a walk. And, it was kind of crazy watching Ashley question Stacy's separation. She's like, oh my God, you're living with your husband? That's weird. Ashley, you were living with your husband for a while until you bought your house. So what's weird about it, And on top of that, you've been faking this divorce storyline for ages. So if I were you, I'd be quiet when it comes to how other people are handling divorces, especially real divorces, right? Cough, cough. So Stacy, remember, her daughter is biracial. She's half Black, she's half German, and Ashley's biracial. She's half Black, she's half white. So Stacy starts asking Ashley a little bit about her identity. And Ashley says, yeah, I am biracial, but I identify as a Black woman, which, is very interesting to me. I always kind of feel like, why can't people just, probably be whatever it is that they are? If you're biracial, to me anyway, and I understand that race is different in different places, but where I come from, if you're biracial, you're biracial, and I think that that's a wonderful, beautiful thing. There's no need to to fit yourself into one or the other. But when it comes to Ashley, I get it because she was raised exclusively around Black people. Her white dad was not present in her life. We even saw an episode where he slammed the door in her face and everything like that when she tried to meet him. So I get it, but it makes me kind of sad for her that she's not able to explore both sides of herself in that capacity. But I digress. Now, Stacy asks her, okay, well then if you're Black, how do your kids identify? Because, Ashley's kids are, white. Like they're white. They've got blonde hair, blue eyes. And so she's asking her, well, what about that? And I do think that was an interesting question to ask. I know that this was like a Halle Berry thing too, because Halle Berry is biracial as well. And then when her daughter Nala was born, she started talking about how like she's teaching her daughter Nala to identify as Black. But then there was like this whole thing where people are like, okay, but she's like one quarter Black, it's this whole thing, honestly. So it was really interesting watching it play out on the show because it's so complicated. Race, identity, all of that is so damn complicated, especially in America. And so, I found it to be a really interesting conversation. And I don't at all think that Stacy was coming from a malicious place. I think she's coming from a curious place because she's got a biracial daughter as well. And she's trying to figure out how to navigate that for her. She's realizing that her daughter's life looks completely different to hers. And I think another difference between her daughter's like brand of biracial and like Ashley's brand of biracial is that, although Ashley's of two different races, it's two Americans, right? Whereas Stacy's, and it's same language on both sides. Whereas Stacy's daughter, it's American and it's German, right? And it's different languages there too. And it's completely different cultures, in a different way than, white and Black culture is in like, the DMV. So a lot, honestly, I feel like I could listen to a whole special on them trying to unpack their racial identities and how they're navigating that for themselves and for their children. It's really cool stuff. And I was like, to me at first when this conversation started, I was like, oh God, don't let this be like Robin and Gizelle. Do you guys remember when in season 1 of the show, they went after Katie and her racial identity, and they were so demeaning to her. And Robin even asked her what box her like children were going to check, like, when they got older. Like it was just such an icky vibe. This had a completely different vibe. So I'm really, really happy that it did not go down in that same direction. Anyway, Stacy then makes a big mistake, which is that she decides to confide in Ashley about something, very like important to her. Ashley's not the greatest person. Ashley's not someone that's going to keep your secret, that she's going to honor, what you're talking about. She's someone who's going to turn it into some mess, And so just stay tuned. I'm sure that that's going to happen. And, I'm starting to wonder now as I'm speaking to you, if that's what's going to set Stacy off and earn her like the front runner of like the new flute holders. Only time will tell. So she tells Ashley, listen, I got a new boyfriend. I've been separated for over a year and I'm dating a guy named TJ. It's been a couple of months. I met him when he was auditioning to become a host on the QVC network as well, or QVC channel. He's a devout Christian though, so we're not having any kind of like actual intimacy before marriage. And so Ashley is just so stunned and shocked at the idea of people having any like level of, actual discipline, because she was married for years to an actual deviant and a creep. So to her, like someone being able to keep it in their pants and like, it's just unheard of. It's unfathomable. So she makes a lot of odd remarks, which to me, are more indicative of like, personal issues that she has rather than like there being a problem with Stacy's relationship with her boyfriend. And I want to know how you guys feel about it. Like, did you feel like Ashley's reaction was appropriate, or like do you feel like it's perfectly normal for people to be disciplined enough to abstain from intercourse? Like Stacy's only been dating this guy for a couple months. It's not like it's been 10 years of dating like this. So I kind of was like, calm down, Ashley. Now Karen, you guys, she truly is having like a driving Miss Daisy sort of a season. Like it's got to be hammered into us every single time that we see her that she is not able to drive. So she goes to Gizelle's house, but she has to get dropped off because again, DUI, suspended license. And so we see her pull up with a car, and then like the title card says Karen's car service. And I really thought she hired a car service, or that the network hired her a car service for the season, but it was an Uber, a simple old Uber, which is just so funny to me for some reason. I'm like, damn, like, come on, you guys. Like, she's a star of like, you know, a globally syndicated show. Give her a nice car service. Damn, like, don't have her like on her phone, but whatever. So she shows up to Gizelle's house, and shady Gizelle, of course, had to ask. She's like looking through the window. She's like, how'd you get here, Karen? Was it an Uber? You know, just being as messy as she is. And listen, I did find that funny. Okay, you guys, I gotta be honest. Now, what's not so funny though is how Karen feels about Jacqueline. You guys know I love Jacqueline. You guys know I'm a very, 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 very basic person. I'm very biased towards beautiful people. I talk about this all the time. When I recap Vanderpump Rules, I always tell you guys, I cannot stay objective when it comes to beautiful people. I don't know why, but I just, like, for example, like a Sheena, and Tom Sandoval at the time was another beautiful person to me. So I would just like be like, yeah, like they're nice, like they're this, like, and now look, you know, and here I am again. Kiana, Stacy, and who's the other girl? Jacqueline are all so gorgeous to me. Like you know, sometimes I'm just like, oh my God, like whatever, I'm on their side. And it's such like a bad reaction, but it's true. They have these studies about like the halo effect or whatever. I'll admit it, you know, and it's a terrible thing, but I'll admit it. But I'm sure that some of you guys probably have that kind of a bias as well. But I digress. Now, Karen is really upset with Jacqueline, and I still don't understand why she's upset with Jacqueline, because Jacqueline didn't say anything wrong. This is Karen's second DUI. And Jacqueline, as her friend, is saying, guys, let's not judge. Okay, let's wait for all of this to play out in the court of law. And then from there, have whatever, you know, opinion or stance you want. But for now, let's not judge, which to me seems fair, because this is very serious what Karen has done. A DUI, she could have ended someone's life. She could have seriously injured someone. Like, this is not okay, and it is not acceptable. I personally would have already judged, to be honest with you guys, because I really am 1,000% against this. I have no respect for this decision that certain people make in their lives. But Jacqueline is abstaining from that until like things go through the courts. So Karen wants people to be behind her 100% without like calling her out for her destructive behavior and her dangerous behavior. And I really don't like that, to be honest with you. So she then switches the gears, and you guys know how much I love the Grande Dame, you know, like she is my girl, like she is Potomac for me. So I'm really, really disappointed, first of all, that she's got this DUI and that she's trying to get people to be okay with it, you know, and to act like it's nothing. And she's been minimizing it since, you know, episode 1. And I really can't get behind that. It's dangerous messaging that she's putting out there. Okay. So she then switches gears to confront Gizelle about Kiana not being invited to her birthday party. And Giselle claims that it's because of a capacity issue. She's like, listen, there's only a certain amount of like tables that like I could have had. So it's very, very convenient and interesting that everyone except this one person was all right for showing up for that. I don't believe it. I think that she's pissed at Kiana because of Ashley's weird friend. And that to Kiana, if I'm remembering correctly, at the reunion last season about that thing. Like, she was not at all empathetic to her for getting slashed in the face and everything. Okay. So yeah, we'll see how this plays out. Again, I'm really looking forward to Kiana, and I'm hoping that she will confront Gizelle about this. At this point, Karen's got the topics rolling. She came with an agenda of things she wanted to discuss. Okay. So now she casually mentions she's on her way out. She's eating Giselle's cookies, or the cookies that Gizelle baked for her. And she's telling Gizelle, by the way, you know, that day of your dad's event, I'm also being honored. And Giselle's like, I have got like a gala to go to. And then Giselle's like, Karen, what are you being honored for? Running into a tree? Like, I didn't hear anything about this. In fact, I know about this event that you're claiming you're being honored at. I saw the initial list and you were not on it. So I think that Karen called and asked to be honored right now for some good PR in the midst of everything that she's got going on, which, you know, it would be really Karen of her. And I would like actually kind of like it at it if that were the case, but we'll see. So the weird thing is that she didn't mention to Gizelle that she wanted to invite anybody like to come watch her like receive her award. And so the next morning, which is the morning of both of these events, at 6 a.m., she texts everybody in a group chat, inviting them to go to her event too, which is before Giselle's event. This is like, we've also organized for a shuttle service to take you guys from my event to Giselle's event, which is just peak Karen. And Giselle's pissed, which I understand, because she invited people to her event like weeks ago, if not at least a month ago. And now here Karen is suddenly with some random award no one's heard of, insisting that people go to her event and then squeeze in Gizelle's event for afterwards, which is not fair. It would treat Gizelle's event like the afterthought that it isn't, right? So yeah, it sucks. And especially because Gizelle's event is mainly in honor of her father and raising money for brain tumor like research and awareness and whatnot. So I get where she's coming from. Typically I find Gizelle to be like over dramatic and like producer-y for moments, but this time I do think that she is well within reason to be mad at her friend. Karen could have at least told Gizelle that when they were talking at Gizelle's house, like, come on now, girl, come on now. Okay. So Gizelle says, okay. And she responds to the text message saying, girls, like, don't come to my place from Karen's then. You know, you guys go to Karen's event, call it a day. Bye. And she's like, okay, like, to us in her confessional, she says that like it would feel like the girls are treating her father's like legacy in his event as some sort of a bar crawl, which at first I was like, really? The bar crawl? Like they're just trying to be friendly to the both of you. I don't know. But honestly, when they cut to the girls pulling out of a Sprinter van and they've got like these solo cups that they're filling with booze and stuff, it's like, yeah, I get what Gizelle's talking about. Like it was kind of like a bit disrespectful, to be honest with you. So, and I was kind of wondering, like, is it not possible for them to do like Karen's early and then come to Gizelle's and spend the rest of the night at Gizelle and Ash's event? Well, here's the thing. The G&A event ends at 9 p.m. and then Karen's gala starts at like 7. The events are about 30 minutes or 25 minutes from each other. So it's like they wouldn't really have a considerable amount of time for the both of them. And so in my opinion, the girls should have said no to Karen and yes to Gizelle because they were invited to Gizelle's event far in advance, you know. And here's the thing though, they're newbies and they're trying to ride the fence, right? They're trying to be okay with everybody. They're trying to get as much screen time as possible. So they decide to say yes, which was a rookie move. The only people who said that they were like gonna stay at Karen's event were Wendy and Kiana, which I totally understand. If I were them, I would have done the same because Wendy doesn't really F with Gizelle or Ashley like that. And Kiana doesn't either, especially after Gizelle iced her out of her friend Karen's birthday party. So it made sense that the two of them would stay for Wendy's event. Meanwhile, everybody else, so that's Stacy, that is the girl who has a Jasmine. Yeah, that's the other friend that I was thinking of. I don't think she's going to be as relevant as I would like her to be honest with you. We're barely seeing her. So Stacy, Jasmine, and Mia, they're all trying to run back over to the G&A event, but unfortunately, like it's looking tight. Ashley told them to at least make it by 8 so that they can spend an hour there. But when they pop up, y'all, Gizelle was not having it and she kicks them out. She said, nope, you guys, like, get out. It's too late. And listen, I get where she's coming from because she invited them far in advance, right? This was in honor of her father who suddenly died after, like, you know, going on like a bar crawl, like Gizelle says, like, you know, with their solo cups, you know, all tipsy and stuff. Like, it's not cool. It is disrespectful. So I 1,000% get where she's coming from. And it's crazy because I've never really been able to agree with Gizelle on anything, but on this, I firmly like stand in her corner. It wasn't cool what the girls did to her, but I digress. Those are just my thoughts on episode 2 of the show. I want to know how you guys feel. Was Gizelle overreacting or was she well within reason to be upset with the girls for treating her father's legacy event as some sort of an afterthought? And did you, like me, kind of feel like this was giving filler episode vibes already? Let me know all of your thoughts and how you'd rate the episode, okay? On a scale from 1 to 10 in the comment section down below. And as usual, we will chat. That's all for now. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great week and I'll see you in my next video. Bye, guys.